I'd like to invite the second speaker referred to him, William Michael, I think.
Do you want to speak here? Probably share this.
Michael's is middle. Alright, now I'll ask the two of them, Charles.
You've been spending far too much time in the library on the floor computers, looking at the people's accounts and leaving the middle names of the models.
The Benjamin's going to be doing on this camera.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very worried that Alec thinks that people who are in distressing situations in the real world should retreat to a place of sanctuary where they can get away from everything that is inherently a violent place, that is inherently a place that encourages you to commit violent acts towards other people, and a place that is solely based around validating the commission of violent acts towards others. I'm very worried that Alec points to that as a benefit of video games when he stands up here and tells you that it's really, really good that people can embrace escapism and get away from the real world, ladies and gentlemen, when all they're getting away to is a world where you can shoot and kill and maim other people, ladies and gentlemen. We say that's not the sort of escapism that we on Side Affirmative want to advocate today, and in fact there are a whole lot of other really, really bad things that come from playing violent video games, ladies and gentlemen. So what am I going to do for you today, you two lovely lady adjudicators? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to recap Paul's speech. I'm going to point out to you what Alec didn't touch, and I'm going to sort of gatekeep some of Paul's points, particularly surrounding the narrative of the video game that Alec had some points on. I'm then going to talk about the harms from lack of participation, which is my substantive split. And this fits very nicely with Alec's notions of escapism, which was a large part of his speech in terms of the benefits he wanted to point to of violent video games. But on to this first idea of what Paul talked about and what we heard in response from Alec. So Paul's first point was that violent video games validate violence through a narrative that rewards violence, ladies and gentlemen. So you get points for shooting people. Now, Alec tried to say that this was a simplistic analysis, that no, these video games require strategy so that, you can get into the right hiding place to shoot the person, ladies and gentlemen. Or, so that you can train up larger armies to then march into war and shoot people. Perhaps you can develop a better battle strategy to surround them and then kill and maim them, ladies and gentlemen. The point of the exercise is not so much that, oh well, there's some strategy there, but that the strategy is all driven towards the goal of killing and hurting other people, ladies and gentlemen. So, congratulations for pointing out that there's some sophistication in the many different ways we can hurt and kill people, Alec, but unfortunately, the goal of the game, the thing that he pointed out that was keeping people's interest, was the flashbang special effects that result from killing people. The strategy is just about how you get there, ladies and gentlemen. So, you're sort of trying to attack Paul's point there didn't work at all. Paul's second point was that it creates the perception that the world is more violent than it actually is, ladies and gentlemen. Alec didn't touch that at all, but I'm going to recap it for you just one more time. Really simple point. If you're escaping into a world where all you do is shoot other people, attack other people, devise strategies to better oppress other people, ladies and gentlemen, then you perceive the perception that the world is like that, ladies and gentlemen. And when you see that the world is like that, you feel more of a need to protect yourself, to carry weapons, to engage in the world as if that's more like that, ladies and gentlemen. And obviously it's not on a scale. You're not going to think that these Nazi zombies, patrolling around the world unless you have real issues, ladies and gentlemen. But it's going to make you see more like the world is like that, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to drive you towards that slowly. And Paul's final point was on the specific nature of people who play video games. And he talked about children in particular and weak households, ladies and gentlemen, that lack the parental supervision to look after them, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that point still stands, and Paul made it very, very well, so I don't need to talk about it anymore. Right, on to my substantive split then, which is harms from the lack of participation. And what we say is that what Alec essentially got up here and did in advocating the escapism of violent video games was that he advocated a purely sort of hedonistic pursuit. Playing video games is something that makes you feel good, right? It makes you get away from things. It makes you into your happy place, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. And we say, yeah, that's all really well and good. Like, we respect people's ability to be able to do things that make them feel good. But if the situation's so dire as Alec pointed to, if the situation in those situations like Paul was talking about, where you're in a family with poor parental control, so these people have got access to the video games in the first place. If you're in a situation like that, where you're getting bullied at school, where, you know, nobody likes you, where your life's pretty shit, right? And all you have, your one hedonistic pursuit, is shooting and killing other people. We say that's really bad. We say that's not a good hedonistic pursuit. And on top of that, we say that generally, we don't really think that unless you can point to some real benefits of this hedonistic pursuit, unless you can point to some sort of societal benefits, you know, maybe in you know, like playing, I don't know, Tetris and learning some sort of, you know, engineering skills or something like that, you know, that's good for society, right? But in terms of violent things, there's not so much good for society. And further to this, you're removing yourself from your problems. We on Side Affirmative don't feel that running away from confrontation and running away from, you know, your bullies or, you know, your parents who yell at you, ladies and gentlemen, is the best way to deal with situations. We particularly don't think it's the best way to deal with situations when, in substitute to actually dealing with them, you go and shoot people in a video game, ladies and gentlemen. And so, what I want to do to sort of finally nail down this point is look to the specific example of a family unit, ladies and gentlemen, because we say there's all sorts of opportunity costs from spending more time playing video games than doing other more productive things in society, ladies and gentlemen. So we say that, you know, if you're playing video games instead of going to work, there's obviously an economic cost there, right? And when there's not benefit because of all the things that Paul talked about and all the harms that come from it, then it's really not a fair trade-off and one that's not being made well. But with this specific example of a family, ladies and gentlemen, any family, right, what we see and what Paul talked to is we've seen a proliferation of the playing of video games. We've seen people playing more and more video games, spending more and more time on their own in rooms, ladies and gentlemen, engaging in that sort of behaviour. We say that when there's all those harms that Paul talked about, we say it's really, really bad if you remove yourself even more from your family. We say that this destroys social skills and all sorts of things like that. And Alex was whispering fervently over there because he talked about social games that you play over the internet and things like that. I say those don't count in the same way. And why don't they count? They don't count because your social interaction is based upon, you know, conceiving strategies to kill people. That's very similar to the gang example that Paul was talking about, because that's what they do in real life, right? So if the only social interaction you get with people is in a fictional sort of realm, ladies and gentlemen, creating a strategy to kill other people, we say that's not a valid social interaction. What we want people doing is actually sitting down at their tables with mum and dad and talking about their day and trying to solve the problems out of them being bullied, ladies and gentlemen. Or we want them going out in the street and running around and getting all the benefits of a healthy lifestyle. We don't want people engaging in violent video games that make them more violent people like Paul talked about and further remove them from a whole lot of other benefits that accrue from being a more positively involved citizens.